What's up, everybody? This is Andy Morales, and welcome to a new edition of Unraveled Influence. My guest today is Carlos Medina. Brother, how are you?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. So we're gonna get right to the point right here. So how did all this stuff start with you? Tell us what you do, how long you've been doing it, and how did everything start?
You see, I started writing in 2017 after a divorce, and from there on, I just started sharing my feelings on Instagram, and I started seeing that it resonated with a lot of people, and from there on, I just took it from there.
Wow. And I know you do a lot of publishing company and stuff like that. How did that start for you? Like, what made you want to do that?
So when I published my first book, I had a little issue with the publisher, and I decided, these people overcharging us, writers for this stuff that's easy, and I said, you know what, like, I gotta be that change, and I decided to just go in and start publishing, and look into all the details of how to publish and what do I need to do and how to help people out, and that's what we've been doing. So far, it's been pretty good. Can't complain about it.
Amen. And my next question is, like, how important for you is to help people? Like, how important is that to you, and what do you hope to achieve? Let's say, like, even after, let's say, we all pass on and stuff like that, what lasting impact do you hope, what are you looking to achieve after we're all long gone and stuff like that?
I think the thing that it's more of seeing the how people react when they get their first book, or knowing that I helped them get their words out there that they were so afraid of doing, and they didn't have a way of doing it, or they couldn't afford to do it. So it's more of being that gateway for them to be able to do it, and helping them be immortal, because at the end of the day, when you publish your book, your words are out there, they're gonna outlive you, and it could be years from now, 100 years from now, and people are gonna look back and read your words, and they're gonna resonate.
Oh, amen. I know for me, like, I started writing because my father used to write a lot. Like, he was writing stories, poetry, even though he's not published or anything like that. But I remember my dad used to always write. And one day I was just, I was experiencing feelings that I really didn't understand. Because, I grew up in a Hispanic household where, unfortunately, no one really talked about stuff like that. No one talked about mental health. No one really explained the stuff we were going through. And then anytime we would have any kind of conversation to that degree, it was always like, shush, cállate la voz, no habla de eso. It was always that kind of stuff. And we had to just keep it to ourselves. So for me, writing became like the piece, I guess, the instrument that I needed to unleash all those feelings out. And also, whether it's music, and then music used to inspire me a lot. And then just over time, as I've gotten older, I've met other people that had stories, and that's what inspired me to really more, just to keep doing what I'm doing,
Right.
So, and I think that's what it is. It's all about, like, having a story, which is why I started doing this podcast too, because everybody has a story they want to tell, and it just seems like there's not an opportunity for a platform out there unless you're famous or whatever the case is. And I think, like you doing what you're doing with the publishing company, and then, me doing the podcast and other people too, I hope that we can be that bridge to inspire others to want to do the same thing too,
That's the goal, yeah. Because nowadays, you gotta remember that we was raised. You have to hide your feelings. You have to hold the pain in, because at a young age, for us, Latinos, we was taught, like, oh, you're not supposed to cry. Oh, you're not supposed to this. But as we grow older, like, we hold all that in, and writing is the way just to let it out. Once we let it out, in a way, we help others in their journey heal, but at the same time, we're healing ourselves.
Right.
Because it's something that's been within us, that had to come out. So that's the beauty of writing and sharing what you feel. And hey, it's not for everybody. It's not gonna resonate with everybody, but you will get a few people that will understand, are going through the same thing that you're going through, and will appreciate what you write.
Nah, amen. That's what it is too, because it's all about the connection, the just being able to relate to everybody. Because let's say because one thing I've learned about life too, let's say you and I could have let's say we both went through the same event, but we experienced the event differently because the perspective was different, or we understood it differently, but I like the fact that, let's say, we can talk about whatever is at the end of the day, but I can relate because maybe we experienced those things differently, but we have that understanding that but the fact is, this is what we went through, this is what traumatized us, this is what it all came down to.
Well, yeah, and I think I wrote this in 2018. I said pain is a universal language.
Yeah.
Understood by everyone. It doesn't matter, what type of pain. Pain is just one word, pain. Everybody experiences it different. But it relates to every single body because we all experienced it. We all been through it. We all felt it in a different way, a different degree. And we are all trying to heal from it or survive from it. Survive what we've been through. So, yeah.
No, I feel you on that. I mean, I like the fact that, like I could read a word and then it speaks to me in that way. Like, wow, okay, this guy understands what I'm talking about. Like, I never met this guy before in my life, or I never met this person in my life, but this person understands. Because one thing I like is, like you said, pain's a universal language, and I agree with you on that because, let's say I have these feelings. You know how sometimes you feel something, but you don't know how to explain it?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's always somebody that went through it, and the way they break it down, the way they explained it, and it's like, wow, I never knew how to get the words out. It's like, you did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And to read pieces like that, whether it's music or art or poetry or just even writing like short stories too, like
and not only that, but even reading pieces like that, it's now you have different decisions to make. Should I go through it this way? Should I go now? You have a whole bunch of different, you have a whole table full of, you could do it this way, you could go through it this way, you could go through it this way or this way. You get to pick now which way is gonna help you to heal better. So that's the beauty about it,
No, I agree. And what's crazy too, like I was telling like the other people I've interviewed, people I've even interacted with at the poetry community, I think one thing that's beautiful about that, at least we can say, social media is not 100% bad. Like there is a community of people who genuinely just want to get to know each other and meet each other, or just even have a conversation, to do what we're doing and stuff like that. Because everything was always catfish and, how do we know this guy is real? Mm-hmm. And you hear these nightmares, but the fact that, wow, this really is what it is. And it's rare to find that, but like that's why I like the fact that we can all come to together as a community, as a community to actually do these kind of things, And I like things like you said, like the whole storytelling too, because it's very important, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like I said, I mean, everybody goes through it different. My situation, I went through a whole divorce. Even when I lost my first my unborn child.
Wow.
That was, I wrote about it and I posted in one of the books. And everybody, when you hear about a couple that lost a child, the first thing that comes to your mind is, how does she feel? Blah blah. Did she went through the pain she went through? Yeah, of course. But now you're hearing it from a guy's point of view. So now you're getting a different feeling for it. Like it's not only the female that went through it, the guys went through it too. It's a whole different view. So, that's also the thing about it, that you get to read it and you get to feel like, okay, now I see this from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow, I know how the females feel, but now look at how the guy feel. Like that's horrible. Like that's painful. So. And
it's different too, because you don't really hear a lot of guys talk about that. I know with me personally, when I first had my first child, me and my wife went through a lot. I think to me, it's more like God put us through a lot of tests. Basically, I took it as this was a life learning lesson. Because one thing I learned about having a child too, you will learn a lot about yourself that you probably never knew until you had that child. And my wife went through some postpartum stuff. Well, a lot of people don't realize too, guys can go through it too. Maybe not in the same way as women do, but guys go through that too. I went through a depression myself too, and I actually felt worthless. I felt like a piece of shit. Like I felt like, I'm a horrible person. I can't even do this, or I can't even help my wife do that. And it was very, very difficult process, and I didn't have anyone really helping. We didn't really have anyone helping us. The only one that really helped was like my sister, and then my wife's family. But, through all that loneliness that we felt, somehow, some way, God found a way. Okay, well, I'm going to bring certain people that's going to help you get this. And we started getting stuff from other people. Like, she had a friend that started giving us, this is my old baby clothes, but you can use it for your son. Like, God, pretty much God was just blessing us with that stuff. But in that, in going through that, yeah, I'm grateful and everything. But then there's also the stuff behind the doors that a lot of people don't talk about,
Right.
and depression's really, really, it's a really serious thing, like I couldn't even put into words what I went through, but it was such a nightmare every 2 hours, just we barely got any sleep because that's just how it is sometimes, and I think with us men too, we're very prideful too. I feel like us men, like sometimes we're too proud to admit that we're vulnerable because, because you said earlier, we was told, we were raised, especially in Latino communities, like you're not allowed to cry. Oh, you're not a man if you don't do this. You're not a man if you don't act like this. You're not a man. Or if you don't have sex with this many girls, you're not a man. You're a bitch. You're this, and that's the way I grew up. I grew up with a lot of verbal abuse, and even though I don't think the verbal abuse was 100% intentional to hurt us.
Right, but that's how because it goes on from generation to generation. So
yeah,
they don't do it with the intention to hurt us, but in their eyes, this is how you're gonna be a better person. And in reality, you have to give the parents some credit because if it wasn't for the way that we were raised and that kind of treatment, we'd probably be worse.
This is true. That's true because it's funny too, like when we were eating at the restaurant earlier, by the way, thank you for the steak, man. The steak was delicious, man. Choripan, you gotta check it out, guys. But funny because I think about what you just said, right? And it's interesting to me because I see kids today, like generations today, and they don't really understand that struggle, right? Because you hear jokes about it all the time, but it's like, these new generation, like, they don't know what it is to struggle, like how we struggle, like like in my case, with the verbal abuse, being poor, and my parents not really having money. So it's very interesting, though, because, right, like I look at the generation today, they don't really understand that, being poor, growing up like that, because for us, it was like, let's go outside and play in the park or something like that. Like kids, they're on the phones.
Yeah.
Like I have an 18-year-old, I have an 18-year-old nephew, 11-year-old niece, and they're always on their phone, social media. Because there was no social media when I was their age. Like I remember when I was 18, it was starting, but it wasn't anything crazy like that. Like it was like just little things here and there, like pretty much like the chat rooms.
America,
AOL, Yahoo, and that's all really what it was. And it's like
MySpace.
Yes, when MySpace first came out, I think that really changed the landscape. And then Facebook came out, that changed the landscape for a long time. Because you see how social media is today.
I never met my Facebook because I always see my family arguing.
And
posting their whole life on social media. I'm like,
oh my God. Everybody knows everyone's business. So that's the bad thing about social media too.
So I stay away from it. I just post. That's why.
Yeah, but see, at least with Instagram is a little bit different, and but now came TikTok, and it just seems like, okay.
I can't get into TikTok. I'm getting into YouTube now. YouTube,
yeah.
I think it's gonna be more.
That's what it seems like. Everyone's going towards the YouTube now. I want to take
YouTube more to a personal level with, me there talking and just
of course.
People with just, BSing with people. So it's gonna be more better. You get a more personal feel for the person actually behind the words. So
no, of course. So speaking of like YouTube and social media and stuff like that, so like so what are you working on right now?
Let's see. Right now we're working on the final anthology, Healing.
Okay.
We're finalizing that. We're working on a couple of artists, their personal books. I'm finalizing my next book, which I'm hoping it should be released by spring. It's already edited and everything. Let me see what else. I'm working on the YouTube channel, so that's another thing. So yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. So in the book that you're writing, so like, what was the process behind that book? Like, what inspired you to say, you know what, I want to write this book, the theme and everything? Like, walk me through that.
Well, see, when I started writing in 2017, I built this routine that I had to write every day.
Okay.
I committed myself to write every single day. It doesn't mean that I posted every day, but I was writing I did post every day at that time. But every day I write, and I wrote every single day nonstop. And that's from 2017 all the way to 2020, right before the pandemic. So every day I was writing. So when I released my books, even though I released my first book, The Phases of a Soul, I was already ahead of myself. I was writing my second book, Precious Pain. So when I released the first book, I was already finishing up Precious Pain. And then when I was finishing up Precious Pain, I was already in my third book, Cremating Past. And then A Walk to Eternal Love, and then Seeking the Unknown. I was already into those books already. Like my writing, I could stop writing right now, which I have stopped writing for a while. But I could publish right now with me not writing nothing. I could publish probably like 3 more books. So
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, if you read my books, they all have phases of a human life, like of a human, like what you go through.
Wow.
So if you read my books, in order, you'll see that I've gone through different phases, and
Wow.
yeah. So this next book is Rebirth.
Wow.
That's what it's called, Rebirth, and it's parts of me rebirthing myself.
Wow.
Being a new me, evolving. So it's I've put all those pieces together and put into a book. I think it's gonna be like 300 and something pages. One of my biggest books.
Wow.
So far, and it's gonna be available hopefully in May, and it's gonna be available in hardcover and soft paperback.
Okay, and is this going through your publishing company?
My
Okay.
publishing company, Mage Soul Publishing. Yeah.
Wow.
Mage Soul Publishing.
Nice. Yeah, so tell us more about the Mage Soul Publishing. Where can we find out about it? If anyone's interested in writing a book and stuff like that, like tell us more about that.
Yeah, you could send us a message at Mage Soul Publishing Instagram channel page, and we'd gladly respond back, pretty quick. Or you can send me a message. I have no problem answering questions of that at Mage Soul.
Awesome. And so yeah, I know you told us about why you started it and stuff like that. So I guess my next question is, I know you talked about rebirth. About you were talking about how this is pretty much rebirthing yourself like that. Walk me more about that. Like walk me through that a little bit more.
Oh, and this one you're gonna when you read Rebirth, it's gonna be more of thoughts and the way I look at love, and the way I felt for a certain individual for many years, she was probably my inspiration, when I was writing a lot of love poems about love. So and eventually, it didn't work out between us, but that person allowed me to expand my view on how I see things. And
Wow.
because when you go more within, you seek more within, you're gonna understand more, and you're gonna understand more of life, and understand more of yourself, and understand the way that the thinking patterns of different people, and to me that's my rebirth. It's more of understanding of life itself, understanding individuals, being able to not just listen, but truly understand what they mean and how they feel and what they experience.
Oh, amen to that, man. So I know for me, like rebirth to me was when I came to the Lord. Let's be honest, I was in a bad place for years, and man, like when I remember when I gave my life to the Lord. That day, it was August 20th. I'll never forget. It was like 8:45, 9 o'clock at night. I went to service, and they were preaching about like how we rely on things to just to get us through. But what we don't realize about is that those things we rely on, they're temporary.
Right.
It's only for a little bit of time. But when you have Jesus, when you come, you go into things of God, it's a little bit more eternal now, because there's a relationship now, there's intimacy and stuff like that. And everything that they were praying over me, prophesying me over about, was exactly how I felt. I'm like, okay, this has to be real, because there's things that I never even told nobody.
Right.
That even the person praying over me was saying to me. I'm like, wow, how did you even know that? I never told nobody. I don't even know this guy. And they were doing that. It's like, this is what I'm saying, God just knows how to work things, man. It's a beautiful thing, and I feel like I've been rebirthed with that, and I feel like I'm little by little, I'm still finding myself, but it's in a better place than I've ever been.
Right.
But as far as like the poetry community poetry community goes, I feel like I definitely found my voice. And even though I'm still trying to navigate how to utilize my voice for better, how to really, pretty much I don't want to say just make it better, but how to really utilize it in a way that it could impact others. When did you feel that you found your voice?
I don't know. See, I kind of felt that. See, because the way it worked for me was after I did, after my divorce, I was like I was so lost. It was a 5-year marriage, and I was just lost. I'm like, damn, like, I've hit the bottom here.
Wow.
So I just one day I started sharing my feelings on Instagram, and somebody reached out and said, "Oh, this resonated with me," and I just kept it going. I kept going. I just kept on posting more. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should just keep posting what I feel, because as we go back, that's how we was always like, put down, like, don't express your feelings. So when I feel like I found my voice is like when I feel like everything that I was writing, mostly everything, was resonating with people. And and then I didn't release a book till like 2 years later, because everybody kept on asking me like, oh, when are you gonna release a book? When are you gonna release a book? And I was like, maybe this is the way it's supposed to be. Like, so I feel like I found my voice like when I started seeing that what I wrote resonated with people.
Amen. And then, do you believe, because I don't know, do you believe that you finding your voice? Do you believe that helped break barriers within yourself too? Because I know, like I said, like us men particularly, I know we're very prideful. We have these walls, and yeah, we need these walls too. But I feel like there's certain walls that can't be broken. Do you think that
Oh yeah,
you
definitely.
finding your voice has helped in that way? And in what way has that helped you too?
I was a real egotistical asshole.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I was like I'm a Scorpio by nature, so it's like we're known to be evil and bad. So I was very egotistical. So I always was driven by my ego. And when you surrender everything, and you know that you have to surrender everything to actually understand that you don't need to understand everything.
Yeah.
That's the moment that you like, okay, I'm on a different journey. Like, I'm on a different path. Like, okay. And you just feel it. You feel this calmness within, this peace within. And it could be so chaotic around you. And don't get me wrong, we're human. We're going to feel the chaos. We're going to feel the hurt. We're going to feel the pain. But within you, you still have the ability to stay calm and know that, it's going to go the way it's meant to go.
Right. And I think that's what it is too. Like, I think, like, especially with us men, I feel like we always had to have this sense of control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like when we can't control anymore, we can't grab the wheel anymore, I guess you can say,
Yep.
Then it's like it gets frustrating because I'm like, oh, well, I was used to doing this and everything used to go my way. What happened?
Yeah.
And I think that's when those situations, like you said, I think those situations really humble you.
Yeah.
It definitely, it humbled me a lot, especially like, I think, I always tell myself, like, even though, I'm 30, I'm going to be 38 now, but I feel like I didn't become a man until my son was born. That's how I feel. Mm-hmm. When I got married and then I had my first child, that's when I felt like, okay, that's when I officially became a man. Because before that, I think I was always a boy, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, I've learned things about myself that I didn't even know was there. And I realized, I'm a lot like my father in so many ways, that it's that generational stuff. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, I gotta change this. And I think the minute we humble ourselves and surrender, and the minute we realize, okay, like, this cannot continue.
Mm-hmm, yep.
That's when we realize, okay, now it's time for us to make the change. And that process is hard. And it's interesting to me because, see, the thing is, like, and I always talk about my wife with this. I know it's the older generation, like our parents' generation, they don't give back. I notice, like, for example, let's say, for example, okay, you give us advice about stuff and it comes out so harsh.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but you say it in a way like, as if you're supposed to understand what I'm supposed to understand what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And if I asked you a question, that means I wasn't listening. I'm like, no, it's not. I don't understand what you're saying. You have to show me. But they didn't have that thing where, I don't have to show you that. Like, no, like, I'm telling you what it is. Okay, but not everybody could just learn like that. Sometimes if people, I'm a visual person. You have to show me what that looks like. You can tell me, okay, don't drive this car without my permission, but you have to explain to me why. You know, because I want to understand where you come from, so I don't do I do what you're telling me to do.
Right.
Because it could be a situation like, okay, like, I don't want you to drive this car because you don't have a license, let's say, or because, let's say, you drive this car without permission and something happens and I don't know about it, or whatever the case is. And I feel like that was the issue with my parents, especially in Hispanic culture. They don't really give back in that way. Whether it was all about, oh, you have to just do this. When they give you the finger, you know, you know, I say esto and that's it. It just seems like we're supposed to just understand. And I think with me, I'm trying hard not to be like that.
Yeah, because to them it's like, well, it's my way or the highway. You don't have to ask me questions. Just do what I tell you, and that's it. That's the way we was raised.
Yeah.
No, I said do like this, and that's it. Oh, but what? It doesn't matter. Why? Just do what I told you.
Right. And it's like, because what if I don't agree with you? Then it's like,
you're gonna get the chancleta.
Yup. And that's what I'm saying too. Like, today's civilization does not understand that. Like, dude, like that kind of discipline for us, that's like, I mean, I look back now, like, okay, yeah, that actually did be justice because it made me the person I am. Did I agree with everything my parents did? No, but I understand why they did what I did. Like, kids today, you hit them, oh, I'm calling die fist. Like,
I think that was their goal, though, at that time. This, you know, I think they knew that we were gonna understand one day and look back and appreciate what they did. So I think that was their goal, and I don't think that everything they did was. I mean, I talk to my mom about this right now all the time, and she's even cried about it. I'm like, you don't have to ask for forgiveness. Like, come on. Like, I understand what you meant by this and that.
Right.
I get it. Like, it could have been a little bit easier, but you know, I get it.
But yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And I think it's too, like, it also stems from how they were raised. Because my father was a 1950s Puerto Rican, and, you know, typical old school, like, my father was the guy, my mom was the housewife. That's how it was. And even if your husband's wrong, you're supposed to take his side. That's it, no matter what. Like, this is just how it was. So we were wrong. No, it was like us versus them type situation. That's the way we grew up. And, you know, my father never really talked to us about the birds and the bees, or they never really gave us that like, let's say if we were going through a tough time, they never really sat down with us and really talked about stuff like that. But I hope that, you know, as my son gets older, hopefully I will break that barrier where I can have that conversation with my son. Like, hey, look, don't feel like you can't talk to me about stuff. Maybe I'm not going to understand certain things because I'm not the same age range as you, but just know that I'm old enough to understand that, hey, I've experienced what you experienced. Maybe it might not be the same in that same way, you know. But yeah, you know, it's interesting how life has changed. You know, you're from New York, right? So like, how has New York different in your eyes from the time you were born and raised there to like how it is today?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when I grew up, it was a lot more drugs on the street and everything. But I think that there was still that respect, you know, of your elders.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't see none of those kids smacking elders in the street just for the hell of it, or no way. Like, you wouldn't see none of that stuff. So I think there was more respect nowadays because, you know, I guess because of law and stuff like that nowadays. But it's different. It's different since when I was growing up.
Wow.
I wish we could go back in time, but, you know, unfortunately we can't do that. But this is what it is, you know. Who knows what's going to be in 10 years from now.
Right. And I feel like the respect is losing itself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, because there's not a lot anymore. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't exist anymore, but it's not as much anymore. You don't see it as much anymore. And I don't know if it's a millennial thing or what it is.
I think I said this in 2008. I said, the future, they say that the future is going to be run by robots. And I always said, we are going to be the robots. Because the way people are with their phones, this is 2008.
Yeah.
And this is when I had BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry, oh my God.
I didn't have iPhone. This is when I had BlackBerry.
BlackBerry, the Sidekick 3, all that.
So, and now, as I see it now, and I'm like, wow, like, It's crazy how I said this 2008, 14 years later.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much becoming like that because you see people walking the street with their phones on, get hit by cars. They're in a whole other world.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny too because not even just phones, but you ever notice how even like transportation has changed too? Because not everybody has a car. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of people now, they're riding scooters. Yeah. They're riding electric bikes. Like I ride a scooter sometimes to work when it's nicer out, not when it's cold. And it's interesting because I can get from Bayonne to Jersey City in like 30 minutes on a scooter. And mine's only go like 20 to 25 miles an hour depending on the streets and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yo, like how crazy, because baby, back when I was growing up, that stuff didn't even exist. And if it did, you didn't really hear about that, because that's crazy.
We used to have the little, oh my God, I think it was called scooter too. You have with the foot pedal, like a skateboard, but with the whole stick and everything.
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
Oh my God, I remember the mopeds too. Which it's like you go to Hoboken, you go to Brooklyn, you go to Williamsburg, you go to Manhattan, you see these things. You could use your phone to rent a scooter or a moped, and you could drive around it like it was nothing. But this is what it is. You don't even need a driver's license anymore. Just drive a scooter.
Yep.
Ride these e-bikes, these mopeds. There's something you have to have. I guess the faster you go, I guess that's when you have to start having a license, if I'm not mistaken. But I know the ones that you have now, where you can just pick it up in the middle of the street, scan your phone. Okay, here. Even like the city bikes.
Yeah, the city bikes. Yep.
It's just tremendous how so much has changed. Like how it's interesting. You know, like, would you imagine, though, like, even today, like, with the bags,
well,
like...
When I was a kid, I always pictured this year to be, like, the year that flying skateboards and flying cars. Like,
flying cars.
You watch Back to the Future.
Yeah. Oh, there's hoverboards.
Yeah, the hoverboard. Like, you picture this all the time, you know, happening, but we gotta get there soon, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. It's insane.
I'm sure in 10 years, it's gonna be, like, 75% electrical cars.
Nah, I feel you, bro. I feel you on that. So tell me more about like life experiences that you had. I remember when we were eating earlier, you was talking about 9/11 and how it impacted you and stuff like that. I guess my question is like how has that changed your perception now compared to life? You know, life now, life then, or whatever. Like in what ways has your perspective of life change, I guess, is my quick question.
9/11, I was working right across the street from the World Trade Center.
Wow.
And the whole thing happened, and like we were talking about earlier, I had one of the customers at the store, because I work at a deli. So I had one of the customers at the store. He was telling me that the whole 9/11 was just an illusion. You know, it was all created by a machine, computerized stuff like that. There was no planes stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, like I lived it. So, but you know, being there and seeing the whole thing happen, and you know, the building falling and running, and you know, people falling from the windows and stuff like that, it kind of make you appreciate life more, because you don't know when is your time. So you gotta learn how to appreciate life more, and that was like the whole turnaround point of me appreciating life, because you know, it comes a time like you always have to have an impact,
right,
in life. So there's different kind of impacts. Some could be small, big, large, you know. So there's always an impact to hit something in your life. So that was an impact for me to like appreciate life more, and you know, all right, you know what? Let me just be regular. You know, don't do nothing crazy, because you never know.
Right.
Cherish the time with your family and stuff like that. Then you get the impact of, you know, losing a child, and then you like, wow, like, you know, you got. What would have been? What would have been, you know, how, that painful moment? Like, oh, this is my father's experience. Or, then you have the one you losing your wife in a relationship. You know, you get divorced of that, your partner. So that's another type of impact. So there's always one, but there's always an impact. But there's always gonna be one that's gonna reach the deepest part of you.
Oh, of course.
And that one is the one that's gonna really awaken the inside of you. Like,
wow,
okay, what are you here for? So are you here to do this, or are you here on a spiritual journey? What's your journey?
Right.
And that's, you know, the one with the divorce, that's the one that hit me the most, because that was, you know, when, I don't know, to me, you're married now too, I mean, you devote your whole life to this marriage.
Right.
Not to a person, because I don't believe you devote your life to a person. That's BS. You don't dedicate your whole life to a person or devote your life to a person. That's BS. You devote it to the relationship, to the marriage, because you're building a foundation, for the next generation. You have a child now for your next generation. So you devote your whole life to that. When that gets ripped away from you, what are you left? As a man, what are you left with? Like, fuck. Your whole, everything you lost everything right there. So that was my biggest impact. I mean, I hurt more than me running in the 9/11 to the South Street Seaport.
Wow.
The buildings falling. So.
Wow. Yeah, I think for me, I think my biggest awakening for me, I think, is when my dad passed away. Because it was one of those situations I would have never thought he would die first. I've had this conversation with my sister where I said, well, my mom always had all these health issues. I thought my mom was going to go first. I mean, I love my mom, no disrespect to my mother, but I thought she was going to be her first. Never did I think my dad would be the one first. And I only said that because he was very athletic. He used to play in Brooklyn, Lindsay Park. He used to play the Old Timers League, baseball. Okay. And he was so athletic. Even at age 65, 66, 69, he was playing baseball. He was lifted. He didn't care. And that's just how he was. He was very, very spirited person. Just, enjoying life. Go for his walks or, go food shopping with my mom, and then he would read his book. But he was very healthy for the most part. And he died from pancreatic cancer. He never really but he didn't have any symptoms. Right. The only thing, this all started from my understanding, he had back pains. And they went to go for the back pain. They found that he had kidney stones. But then in the process of that, they saw this large mass. What's this though? Oh. And that's when the whole journey... I don't want to say journey, but this is when the whole thing happened. And this is one of the few times in my life that I saw my father vulnerable the way he was. I've never seen my father hug my mom so many times. And even my sister talks about it with me too. Maybe in that same hour, she probably hugged him 20, 30 times. It's one of those things wow, this is the first time I actually saw my father vulnerable. I saw him scared. This is the one time he was not confident about himself or nothing. And it's from that time, from the time he passed away, I can honestly say that hit me hard to the point wow, it's so funny how you could have all this and just like that it's taken away from you, or how someone could be in your life for a long time and just like that they vanish. Yep. And that really hit me hard. And then me being a parent now, it's whoa, I look at my son and I'm just what I wouldn't do for this kid, But I think my main hope is, that no matter what I go through, let's be honest, because I know I'm going to fuck up somewhere down the line. That's just going to fucking happen. But at the end of the day, it's I want to make sure that I don't become or I don't inherit everything my father has done when it comes to my son, whether it's being overprotected or being very smothering to death that he's gonna push me away kind of thing, and that's the fear that I have.
Well, you already learned the first lesson, just realizing it.
Right, but now the lesson. You learn. Okay, this is the first lesson to learn. Now, how do you change the habit? How do you break that generational curse, or how do you break that cycle where you I know it takes discipline and strategy and stuff like that, but how? And that's the thing I'm still trying to ask God myself.
I don't think it's more breaking the pattern or a strategy. I think it's more of being you, because internally you already know what's the problem, or what was the problem. So now every time you talk to your child, now you have to approach him with you being you, not being what your father told you, but you, right, as you would treat your own self, the way you want to be talked to. I think that comes with time. Because now when you look at your child's eyes, you're going to see a reflection of you, not your father. So now you're going to treat him probably the same way, but with a different character, different understanding,
right,
better understanding of, you're my child.
Right,
so
right.
It'll come natural. It'll come normal. I mean, it comes with feeling,
Nah, I feel you on that, man. I feel you so much. So I guess with that, I think we're gonna just bring this to a close. But do you have any last words or any last things you want to say?
No, man. I really appreciate what you're doing here, and appreciate you coming out. And
no doubt, man. No, this has been a fun night.
Conversation, enjoying the steak, and hopefully it's not the first and last one. Hopefully we have more to come.
Yes, amen. Yeah, because I know there's some poets I have known in the tri-state area, guys. Let's meet up somehow. Let's have this feast, and that'll be great, man. Carlos, thank you so much for being a part of this with me. Thank you for being a part of this. I guess you could say a part of this movement, because I really think this is a movement of new things, especially for this year now. I think I was telling Leon this. I don't know if I ever told you. Actually, I don't think I even told you, but I know I told Leon this. I said, matter of fact, like you and Angela Murray and even Eddie Racy and who else, and Leon and even Robert Kazi. As a matter of fact, you guys were the reason why I continue to do this. So even though I had a few hiatuses here and there, but then there was this moment where, okay, you know what, there was something missing in the podcast. And and the way God just used me and Leon to like reconnect with each other, and now here, you know, like now he's like my co-host and stuff like that. Like, you know, but you were the one that mainly the one that pushed me to be like, hey, we gotta just do it. Because I remember that conversation we had where we was talking about, you know, like it's kind of hard when it's just one genre, and then what you said to me, I think, is what really said, all right, I'm gonna just do it. You said, dude, you gotta just do it. That's all it is. I think that's what it was that comment that said, you know what, that's it, I'm gonna just do it. And wherever it goes, I'm gonna let God take the wheel with that one.
You know, and I tell everybody tells me like, oh, but no, you. I'm like, you know, it's not really me. I'm just a reflection of you. And when you're talking to me, I'm being your reflection. So it's really what you really want. You're telling me it's what you really want, and I'm just bringing it back to you.
Right.
It's really what you want, and maybe you just needed somebody else to tell you.
Yeah, it's like confirmation.
Yeah, there you go. You know, like when you go to church and the preacher tell you all this stuff, you be like, yeah. There you go. It's confirmed.
Amen. So, brother, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for tuning in. All right, God bless.